Hello, welcome again for our third interview leading into DreamHack Stockholm, the OWCS World Finals. I'm here today with Rupal, flex support for Toronto Defiant. How things been going for you the last week or so?
Things have been pretty good. It's been pretty good. Been scrimming a lot, and then tomorrow we're actually going to Berlin for our boot camp before Sweden.
Hmm. Why I have to ask, like obviously I know you as the players aren't necessarily involved in these decisions, but like why Berlin if there's any particular reason for that?
So our like parent company, Overactive Media, they also have like a League of Legends team, Mad Koi,
Hmm.
and they're based in Berlin.
Interesting. So you're going to be using those facilities.
Yep.
Hmm. Kind of speaking of the parent company, I don't know if they made an official announcement, but that this year is the end of the like Defiant brand. I think they're shifting to something else next year, either making it all Toronto Ultra or like Koi or something. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head, but if that does end up being the case, what does that signify to you of kind of the end of the last existing or extant geolocated, former Overwatch League team name?
I think it's a step in the right direction because in esports, one of the big things in esports is you'll see an org like a team, like take NRG. NRG is like present in a lot of different games. They have a League of Legends team, they have a Valorant team, and they have an Overwatch team as well, of course. But then if you look at Toronto Defiant, Toronto Defiant, if you just see that name, and then you see Toronto Ultra, and then you see movie star Koi, and then Mad Lions, like it doesn't seem like they're like related at all, even if they are. So I would say it's a step in the right direction towards like unifying the org and the fan base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do want to ask. This is something that I've wondered myself. So, think back to the end of last year and during Flash Ops when you were on Timeless with some of the players who are now with you on Defiant. Something I've wondered is, were you already in talks with or trialing to become the core of the new Toronto Defiant before or during that tournament? Or do you think you wouldn't have gotten picked up if you lost that grand finals to like the American Tornado players?
I was not in talks during that tournament or before that tournament. I think I only started talking to Casores after that. If we lost, to be honest, I feel like it's kind of hard to say. I mean, if we lost like the map seven, like a really close match, I feel like at least I still would have gotten like
Mm-hmm.
I would have talked to Casores. Maybe like because I kind of got like picked up pretty quickly,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe there would have been more deliberation on that. Because if we had lost, then it's not like a 100%. Oh, we should pick these guys up.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting.
so I'm not too sure.
I always love looking at like what ifs. But going back to the present now, obviously I think it's fair to say, well, you might disagree, but that kind of each stage this year for you in Toronto has been a bit harder than the last in terms of the competition you've been playing. But what do you think was sort of the toughest moment that you've had all year, despite kind of all the winning you've done?
Toughest moment is definitely maybe there's two. The first one is like recently against Nightmare. Obviously, definitely the hardest match we've had in the grand finals in North America. They were really good, and they we had to adapt a lot. And in the end, we won, but it was still a really close match. And they proved that they're a good team. And then the other tough moment I would say is when we started our boot camp in Korea. We were like we were like doing really good against the American and the like North American and European teams and scrims before the boot camp. And then as soon as we flew over there, we were just like getting like thrashed around by Crazy Raccoon, Falcons, even like Zeta at the start. And then as the week went on and we like practiced a lot, we did like 3 blocks a day plus review. We worked pretty hard. We got a lot better, obviously, as you can see by like our result at EWC. But like the first few days was definitely like tough on the team mental. Like we were like very, we were very worried. Like, are we gonna get better? Like, is this it? Is this the end? But we
Interesting.
pulled through.
When you were in Korea for that boot camp, were you basically cycling scrims with the other or with the four Korean teams that were going to EWC, or were you like also scrimming other Korean teams or like other Asia teams? I'm curious.
I think uh we scrimmed a lot of teams. We scrimmed obviously the Korean teams that went to EWC, so that's Falcons, Crazy Raccoon, Zeta, Fnatic. We also scrimmed the Hakjeokdong, the team
Hmm.
with Mag and Sunjun. We scrimmed them and Prophet as well. And then we also scrimmed like I don't know if we scrimmed every. Oh yeah, we did. We scrimmed Twisted Minds. We scrimmed SSG like once, and then who's it? I think we scrimmed Peps as well.
Hmm.
I think the only team that was like available to scrim but we didn't scrim at all was once again because they didn't want to scrim us. But
Interesting.
we scrimmed every other team.
I'm actually curious about Hijokdan in particular. Thinking about them as sort of the what they got like fifth, sixth, something like that in stage two of Korea. It kind of comparing. I'm not sure if you remember too specifically, but comparing them to say kind of a roughly equivalent level team in North America or an equivalent placing team in North America, like a Fluffy or a TSM or something. What's the difference in like practice level? Would you say, especially like in those scrims?
Hijoktan, they were honestly they weren't that great, but they weren't like bad either. I think that they were better than Fnatic. So I would say that if you put them into NA without ping, which obviously is like not possible, but you know, just like comparing them to NA, they'd probably be better than NRG, but worse than Nightmare.
So like third.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And so like you said, you've had to make a lot of adaptations. What do you think is your greatest strength as a team? And then also on the other side of it, what do you think is sort of your greatest weakness as a team? The thing you feel like you have to work the most on consistently?
I think our greatest strength is mechanics. I feel like all five of us are like really high level like mechanically compared to like 95% of other teams just in the world at our own role. And so like individually we're all really strong and we also have some pretty flexible players, mostly like someone and Vega are both pretty flexible. I would say the weakness of our team is probably playing like it's kind of the opposite, right? Like we're individually good, but I think playing a lot of like rush comps we're not that good at, which is what we worked on, and it's probably why like the recent stage four was so close. It's probably like not a great meta for us, but you know we work pretty hard on it. Honestly, I mean I say that in scrims though in stage four we were doing like pretty well. Um, definitely like pretty dominant I'd say, and we're still continuing to work on that, and you know getting rid of that weakness and becoming stronger as a team. That's going to be important for us in the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think sort of those rush comps are a bit of a weaker spot for you, especially considering, you know, obviously the existing synergy you have with Merit and someone, and you know, obviously you. I mean, I would imagine considering that you're sort of the only full time players in North America that you're probably practicing more than anybody else. But why do you think those comps in particular are kind of a sore spot?
I think one of them is just when we do practice, it's kind of hard to put in like all of our effort. Like when we start like winning a scrim and it's like pretty obvious that like yeah we're just like better. We definitely like start trolling and just like putting in less effort. So it probably leads to just like a less disciplined team. But I think more importantly, on the team we have some we like in these like team-based rush comps, we definitely have different ideas a lot of the time on how to take certain fights or even like the meta read. Um, well, I think right now we're in a really good spot. But in the past, I think you know some people on the team want to play like fast. Like I think I'm one of the people that like always likes to go fast, go first. But other people on the team want to play slower and like more calculated. And obviously, there's never like one right answer. But I think that difference is probably one of our was one of the reasons why our team play was bad in the last tournament.
Interesting. Yeah. So I want to start thinking a little bit about Stockholm. You've got a little bit of a grudge match in your opening match against the team that knocked you out of Dallas, ENCE, that kind of marked the end of NA's kind of disappointing performance on home soil. How are you approaching this matchup against a team that Infected said would probably be the biggest kind of hometown crowd favorite, considering their roots in that region of Europe?
I think we're just taking it normally, honestly. I think when we played against them before, we definitely like looked down on them, I'd say. And we were kind of in a bad spot after like we lost to Crazy Raccoon in Dallas. And we weren't really taking the uh, European teams very seriously. We were definitely focusing a lot of our energy into how do we beat the Korean teams. So going into Stockholm, I think we're just taking it one match at a time. You know, it's not like we're stressed out about it, but it's also not like we're underestimating them either. You know, they're a good team. They can beat us. We can beat them. But we're gonna work really hard for the next 2 weeks, and we're gonna beat them.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think is sort of the biggest difference in your team between now and in Dallas? I think also somewhat relevant to mention that you're the only team that is coming to Stockholm with the exact same lineup of players that you had in Dallas. Everybody else has either swapped somebody out or added at least one player.
I think we're just confident, like genuinely, they're just confident. In Dallas, I would say like we had a lot of pressure to perform, and I wouldn't say like any of us like had any fun or enjoyed playing. It was pretty stressful, especially on stage. It just felt like we were all on edge, and like if somebody were to make a mistake, you know, it's not like anybody got flamed or anything like that. It's more like everybody took it so personally to themselves, and we just couldn't like play well because of that. But moving forward after Dallas, every match we're always like we're just playing it like a scrims. You know, we're having fun, we're laughing, we're making jokes, or if somebody makes a mistake, like you know, you make fun of them for the mistake. You don't like flame them for the mistake. It's kind of different. To keep everything lighthearted and not too serious, and I think that's the key to our success.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, I think another important person to bring up, especially in terms of kind of keeping the team, mentally on track, is Casores, your coach. How does he compare to like other coaches you've had in the past? I mean, obviously, like the most direct recent comparison we can make is Gunba. You don't have to compare him to Gunba if you don't want to, but you know, how does Casores compare to other coaches that you've had?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had that many coaches. Um, but Casores, he's a very good leader, I would say, in the team. Like it's not to like with Gunba, I felt like he wasn't really the leader figure, but he would always call you out on your mistakes. He would make sure like the team is on the right track, you know. But with Casaurus, like he's there for the team. He's there for like each player individually, like in and out of the game, which I think is really important to just these long seasons of competition where like keeping like a strong mental is honestly more important than playing well in like individual matches.
Mm.
Um, and I also want to talk about Danny too, because Danny's also been like a very important part of the team. Him and Casores definitely um, carried us a lot at EWC. I think without them and like the amount of preparations they did regarding bans and map and picks at EWC, we would not have gotten as far as we did. So I
Mm-hmm.
really appreciate them and also the amount of work they put into keeping us on track, even when we're like not taking scrims too seriously, or when we have problems outside of scrims, like when we message them, they're very quick to respond and they're always there for us.
What did you think of the hero ban system at EWC?
I think the Hero system was really good, honestly. It made each match feel so like distinct,
Mm-hmm.
which I think it's good for teams. Like it's good for like the esports aspect of it. It's also good for the fans. Like I think fans definitely enjoyed not seeing Brig Juno every single map for a whole tournament.
Mm-hmm. Would have been hard to see Juno at that tournament because she wasn't out yet. But
Yeah,
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 I'm
yeah.
fucking with you. But yeah.
But yeah, like this past tournament, if you look at like, I mean, we obviously didn't play Brig Junior the whole time, but if you look at like Europe or even in Korea, like actually they play Dive in Korea a little bit, but if you look at Europe, like they're able to play Brig Junior on every single map, literally every single map, and that's just not possible with bans. I think bans make the game just more interesting, more entertaining, and also it rewards, I would say, like strong coaching staffs
Hmm.
in a way that like hasn't really you haven't really seen before in Overwatch. Like there truly is an actual coach gap that can happen in at EWC. And like you saw it when like the coaches go up with their clipboards and they do the bands like to each other's face. And that's like I don't know, I feel like that
It's cool.
in
Yeah.
its own is just such a cool aspect of it was such a cool aspect of EWC. And I hope obviously it's not that's not, but I hope that next year they definitely at least consider putting it into you know, OWCS going forward.
You think anything that brings more face-to-face interaction between players and coaches and anybody involved is probably a good thing. Uh, Speaking of face-to-face interaction, kind of. So as I mentioned before, you and your Defiant teammates are kind of the only like full-time sort of full-time employee professional Overwatch players in North America at the moment. So I want to ask, like, what does a typical sort of day look like for you, kind of, with this as your full-time job?
Yeah, it's very similar to Over. We're definitely the only team in NA that's like where it feels similar to Overwatch League. So basically, you know, the day starts, depending on the player, some people wake up like 30 minutes before scrim, some people wake up an hour before the scrim. Usually our scrims start at 1 p.m. Um, because we like to scrim like the European teams.
Mm.
We scrim like a mix of the European teams and the North American teams, like uh the top from both. So we'll start the day at 1 p.m. Have one scrim from 1 to 3, and then we'll have a second scrim 3 to 5. Sometimes we'll have a break in between, but it kind of depends on the team that we're scrimming and what time that they're available. So typically on a typical day, our scrims will end at 5 p.m. and then we'll take the time after scrims finish to just review um whatever mistakes we had in the scrim with Casores and Danny. And then after that, we're pretty much just free, which is it's pretty nice because earlier in the year, I would say like we were working a lot harder, like, and this definitely added to like the stress aspect because we would scrim like 3 blocks a day. So instead of our day ending at like 5:30, 6 p.m., our day would end at like 9 p.m. So like pretty late, and maybe 8, not 9, 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
But like still pretty late, and with our like new schedule, you know, people have more time to stream, people have more time to just relax. But okay, I don't go, but most of my teammates go to the gym as well. And so I mean, we are like full time technically, but I wouldn't say like we spend that much more time practicing.
Mm-hmm.
But we do spend enough time, I'd say, practicing and reviewing.
Do you think there are like real tangible benefits to kind of being around your teammates? And I don't know, do you sort of live in the same apartments as your teammates, or is it not like that, like it was in past OWL teams?
No, we live in the same apartments. We have three apartments and 2 people per apartment. I think there's definitely a buff to like being with your teammates. It's like I would say it's the little things. Because you know when you're just like hanging out with them, like they become your friend. Like if you're not gonna become friends with somebody if you're just practicing online with them and then scrims are over, all right, end the call, leave the call, and you're not gonna see them till tomorrow. But like here, it's like okay, finish the scrims. Well, we're all here. You know, it's we can still talk, just chill. We're not obviously always talking about the game, but there will be times when you know we'll just be chilling and somebody has like an idea about the game, something that happened in the scrim, a mistake that was made, what we could do differently. But I would say more importantly, just the best teams in Overwatch, like they've always been the teams that are friends, that they know each other. They're not just like work buddies. Um, Definitely last year with Mayhem, and then also even this year, like with Crazy Reckon, they are a very like chill, carefree team. Like they're always hanging out together. They don't like take scrims that seriously. Um, they save the energy for matches and they talk about what they think is good and how to play the game. But at the end of the day, they're friends, and honestly, friendship is just low-key OP in Overwatch.
Power of friendship, yeah. Um, kind of relatedly, not really. I was trying to go for a segue, it didn't really. But so I want to ask your opinion as kind of one of at this point probably one of the most decorated players that we have in our region. Who do you think are some names that are kind of next up? And I want to specify that as being kind of players outside the top, like 3, 4, maybe even top 5-ish teams in North America.
Wait, hold on. Let me look at Wikipedia one second, so because I always be forgetting the player names. Next up, it's kind of hard to say who's next up because I feel like all the players they've been around for such a long time. I do feel like 'cause I was gonna say like Scissors, but he's also like I mean he's already up. I feel like he's not really
He's made 3 lands,
yeah
or
yeah
2 lands.
he's not really nice. He's already there,
Yeah.
so it's kind of hard to say him. But other than that, I feel like Sunjin is Korean, but he played in NA and he was really good. I remember we almost like lost to Shikigami.
Yeah, that was a weird series. Speaking of Danny before, that was somewhat odd, but
Other than that, honestly, who's good here? I think Pella, he's pretty
ooh,
good.
it's a
Tank
good
player.
shout. Okay. Shout out Avidity, yeah.
And then other than that, like I feel like everybody's like I've known them for like such a long time.
Yeah, I see what you
Yeah,
mean. It's
I can't
like
really.
somebody that's unknown to maybe a casual fan is like somebody that you've
Maybe
known for years.
Zomba as well. He's like
Okay,
a
that's
like
that's yeah, that's who I was thinking or expecting you were gonna say. Yeah.
yeah, he's like a pretty good ranked tracer player.
Mm-hmm. So thinking about it, kind of related to that, like thinking about next year, are players already thinking about what next year might look like? Are those conversations that you've had with OAM or with excuse me with Toronto, whatever they're going to be called next year?
I have not had any conversation personally with regards to the future of Toronto Defiant, Toronto Ultra, whatever. Like I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems to be the trend across the board. What are some things that you think worked about the 2024 format, and then also some things that you think ought to be changed for next year's format?
I think the Faceit integration, it had a lot of like struggles with a lot of like there's like a lot of staff that like made like some mistakes in like specific matches. But I would say overall it was a success. Like it worked pretty well with the Swiss stage going into the main stage. The one thing that I feel like would be better is um I think the Korea format for OWCS was a lot better than the NA and the EU formats.
I agree. Yeah.
I feel like the league, like having that like a season rather than just like one tournament,
Mm-hmm.
having that season builds up like the hype and the storylines of each like team. I think having the singular tournament is pretty chalked because a lot, not even every match from the main stage is streamed. Like, which I think that also that's definitely an error
Yeah.
from the like OWCS staff there because how is the main tournament not gonna have every match streamed? I think that's not not
Mm-hmm.
very well designed. I think another thing is they would make the group stage for each stage. They would make the group stage 2 weekends long, and then the main stage, the main tourney, would only be 1 weekend long, which I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that doesn't make sense. Like the important matches are the main stage ones. They should all be streamed 100%. Like if anything, that should be 2 weekends long. I think that would make for a more entertaining viewing format.
Yeah.
And also having like a season, uh like like how the Korea stage works,
Mm-hmm.
that would also just help viewers a lot. I think because viewers basically just tap in like once every like month, and there's the main tournament, and then main tournament ends after 4 days, and it's done. It's done. But like for Korea, like it lasted a long time, and you got to see teams play each other multiple times as well.
Yes, I
Really,
would.
really
Thank you
cool.
for bringing that up because I was. That's what I was. That's what I was thinking. You get those repeat matchups, and you get the rivalries and the drama that comes with that, and you get the Crazy Raccoon beat Falcons in the regular season, but then they lost in the seeding decider. Then they won in the Korea finals, and then they lost in the Asia finals, and it's like this constant debate of who is actually better between a given pair of teams because they've played each other multiple times, and you get different outcomes. Obviously, the teams being on land probably helps a lot with that, which is something that I guess they've just determined isn't feasible in North America and Europe, fair as that might be.
Yeah, I think it would be very smart to have like a system where the top teams they like stay in like whatever like OWCS like NA league or EU
Mm-hmm.
league, and then the teams at the bottom they get relegated, and they're like they have to play against the teams coming up from the
Yeah.
Swiss,
I
and
mean,
then
I feel like what
for
you're
that spot again.
describing
It's like old.
is kind of the
Yeah,
Face It League format, sort of.
yeah. I think that would definitely make OWCS better for definitely for viewers. For players, I think it would be about the same though. I guess there would be like extra pressure of potentially getting relegated, but I mean, happens.
Mm-hmm. And then thinking back on this year as a whole, as you sort of look back with the benefit of hindsight on the last 11 months. Well, it's really been 11 months. How do you feel like you've changed, kind of as a person, a player, a leader, from the beginning of the year to now?
I feel like really became the leader like outside of the game. Like I didn't think it like that would happen, but last year on our team, on Florida Mayhem, everybody was very like indoorsy. Never really wanted to hang out, or if we did hang out, we would just like play like League or Valorant together or something. But this year, anytime there's like something we can do, like oh it's the weekend or we're free this day, I'm always the one to try and like organize the team together, which is actually pretty hard with some of my teammates. Um, I'm usually not that kind of person. I'm
Who's
not really
who's who's the hardest one to get to go outside?
definitely Merit. He he's he's very hard to convince.
Who's the easiest one to be beat down for
Easiest,
something?
I mean, honestly, it depends. I would say easiest is Danny. I think me and Danny are we're always we're always very
Is Danny
so
in Toronto with the team or?
yeah, he lives in Toronto.
Okay.
But we always compromise, like we're down to do whatever. There are other people on the team that like there's certain things that they will refuse to do. Like it can be difficult at times, especially with regards to food,
Hmm.
because um obviously our Koreans want Korean food, but then like Vega and Lenny they both want to get hot pot, but the Koreans don't want to do that, so and it's kind of hard for them to ever meet in the middle. But me and Danny were always yeah, and I was like Cast too, we're always there.
Interesting. Yeah. One last question. So the OWCS crowdfunding bundle is obviously a tribute to your championship-winning Mayhem squad. I want to ask, what do you think of the skin and the emote honoring your teammate someone?
I honestly think it's at first I was kind of like, wow, like this is it, but then actually I kind of humbled myself and realized that the fact that we even got a skin is pretty
Yeah.
cool, and an emote to pair along with it, which is a Ham doing like a New Jeans stance. Like that's actually really cool and thoughtful of them to do. So I really appreciate that a lot. My only gripe, I guess, would be that the skins they chose, like they're just a bit strange. Like they chose what was it, three DPS characters?
Yes.
Yeah, May,
It's
Tracer, and
the May
Junkrat,
is a
right?
new one, and then Tracer and Junkrat skins I think are recolors of old legendaries,
Yeah,
other legendary skins.
yeah. Like I feel like it would have been cool if they did like if they were gonna have three skins. It would have been cool if they did like tanks, DPS, and support.
You know, like May
Um,
Sig Bap or something. You know, the
yeah, yeah.
heroes you
Like
guys
that's
played.
that's those are the heroes we played. Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
would have been if they did that.
that's why
That
I
would have
set
been
them.
that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, the May. I mean, we did play a lot of May. We had checkmate, really good May. So cool, pretty cool skin. Really, really nice emote. I don't think I'm pretty sure we're the only like team that's gotten an emote from like winning a championship. So
Uh, I I think so. Yeah, I don't know if there's ever
uh,
been any other Overwatch League emotes, so
so
that's pretty
honestly,
cool.
yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll take it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the last question I had. Unless there's anything else you want to share, that's gonna be it for us here today. Best of luck in Stockholm. I think we're all really really excited to see like how things turn out. You know, you guys get your rematch against Crazy Raccoon. Got two maps last time. Maybe this time you can finally get over the hump, huh?
Yeah, the four times the charm
Yeah.
because we
One,
lost to
two.
them once in Dallas and then twice at
Oh,
UWC.
it was twice. Yes. Yeah, that tournament was so compressed. It's impossible to remember anything. But yeah, thanks a lot for sitting down and enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy Berlin.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.